Well, good morning, everybody. This is DearMamaSal, and it's Thursday morning. And you know I love Thursdays, and I'm just going to quickly send a text message because I got to my car this morning, and Yvonne had very kindly scraped the ice off it for me. And you go, how kind is that? I think that's really kind. So she wouldn't have known that I was running a bit late this morning, but I am. And so to come down and find out that it was a really frosty morning and I didn't know it, and that the frost was gone from my car because she had very kindly cleared it. That's great. Now the other thing I do, I don't know about the rest of you, but if I've got a sort of slightly foggy morning, I put my windows down, and that normally cleans the... Oh, I have the rear view stuff going now. That looks good. Got the heater on there, got the glasses back on. Alright, looks like we're good to go. Now I haven't got a lot of power going on my defrosters because I don't want to interrupt the broadcast. But it's really not too bad. It's 1 degree Canadian and it is 33 American, but it's frosty, no doubt about it. So I just love when people do good things. And I love being the recipient of good things. I'm sure you all do. So some updates that I know of. Laurie, I think, is in 17 or 18 days of not smoking. Way to go, Laurie. And also, that's my Laurie. She was out walking last night. She went around the block, so good for you. I was very impressed with that. So I think her goal is to give up smoking and not put on weight. That's a pretty impressive thing to do. So we really appreciate the effort she's putting into that one. Had lots of stuff come back on the possibility of fundraising for people. And I know that that some of you just want to go ahead and do it and not do it formally, and I understand that. And as I said, for those of you who just want to send your money to the person that you want to send the money to, you're more than entitled to do that. I just am a cautious person in terms of business. And I say business because it is the business of taking people's money and making sure it goes in the right direction. I'm certain you all have heard the horror stories, and there are enough haters online without them having reason to query what DearMamaSal as a group of people does with money. And so it really is to protect the overall brand, if you like. I say brand, but you know what I mean. The overall image of what we do, to make sure that that is ethical and that it is above board and that it is, what do you call it, squeaky clean in terms of how we raise money. So if you can understand that, then you understand where my heart's at, which is, yes, I want to do this as much as anybody, but I want to do it right. because it's got my name attached to it. And then somebody suggested, well, if you're worried about it having your name attached to it, why don't you let somebody else do it? And I'm going, no, it's the same thing to me. But it does not stop anybody contacting anybody and saying, I'd like to donate money to your cause. So I hope we cleared that one up. I don't control what you do with your money. Nor do I want to. I just want to make sure that if it comes in this direction, that it's handled properly. So it's been a great day, actually, so far. I slept well, as far as I know. Woke up a couple of times, and that's normal. It seems to be sort of very foggy this morning again, and that's okay, because normally then the sun will burn off. We hope it's the sun. Will burn off by lunchtime, and it'll be quite pleasant in the afternoon. So I'm looking forward to a pleasant day. I'm really quite busy this weekend as well, which surprised me. I've got a couple of things that I have to get done, and that will keep me out of mischief. One of the things I've got to do is get more meds for Bean. Obviously, with the sudden increase in the amount of medication he's taking, we're going through his medication much faster. And that is a concern. Because it's pretty expensive stuff. But anyway, we can handle that. Just got to budget differently now. A cop car would be lying in wait right there. Gotta be a good reason, right? They don't do things without good reason. I hear this morning that Justin Bieber got himself arrested. Silly boy. Hasn't he had enough bad press this year? And he's probably in victim mode. Do you know what I mean? He's probably blaming everybody else but himself for why he keeps getting arrested or investigated or whatever. Because that's what happens when you start getting caught on your stuff. You start blaming people. Well, if you're not blaming them already before that even happens, which is normal. But it's really funny how that happens. And I can just imagine him saying, it's not fair, they are targeting me, da-da-da-da-da-da. And you're going, well, hang on a second. What has your behavior been like of late? Now, the bigger problem that I hear in the news this morning is it may affect his ability to go overseas on tour. Because if he gets enough of these infractions against him, it may affect whether they'll allow him back in the country. And that country being the US, even though he spends his time there. So, he's now been arrested and is going to get charged with a number of charges, and if he's found guilty, he will then have a record in the States which could preclude them from allowing him back in again. Duh. So yes, it was great fun with your very first Lamborghini and Ferrari or whatever the two of you had, but now you pay the price. Sad, but true. And I I think for any of you who've brought up children, and a lot of you who our viewers have, it's the old story of, yes, you can do this behavior, but the consequences are the followed. And I always admired people who spoke to their children that way. Well, you can't stop me because da-da-da-da. No, I can't stop you, but here are the consequences if you go ahead and do it. And then follow through. That's the trick. You need to follow through with the consequences. The other thing that I always found very interesting in this is the longer the consequence, the less effect it had. If you say, okay, I'm going to ground you for 3 months, it actually had diminishing effect, I believe. So, a number of big issues about what we do as adults and human beings and the consequences of what we do. It's really funny, we have a really fun group of people at work. And they wanted me to see if I could talk to the partners about when the Olympics are on and Canada's playing, can we wear our Canadian hockey gear? Because there's some of us that have got our Canadian, hockey shirts and scarves and everything else from the last Olympics. And we're pretty big hockey fans, to put it mildly. And so I waited my time. I have to admit, I waited my time until the person I needed to speak to was in a really good mood and really telling lots of jokes and doing all sorts of fun things, which he does. He's a delight. And then I asked him, oh, by the way, a couple of us were wondering. And what could he say? So I'm the big star now. I managed to get that done. And actually, when sometimes if the Canucks make it into the playoffs, we also manage to wear our hockey jerseys for that too. So it's good fun. And there's another police car who's pulled over. I wonder what all that's about. Not a nice way to start your day, being pulled over by police, I would think. What do you think? I'm hoping that it's going to be a bit of a better day on Friday. Oh, I can feel the sun trying to push through this fog this morning. I can actually feel it. Isn't that amazing? But I'm also looking at the frost on houses. I don't know if you guys do that, but I'm looking at the frost on the roofs. It's always a good way to tell how good their insulation is. And if there's a frost on the roof, you know that there's not a lot of heat escaping through the roof. And there's a roof with absolutely no frost on it. Guess what? And funny enough, it's not to do with the age of the house, I've noticed. That some houses are really quite old and yet seem to be very well insulated. in the roof area anyway. And there's another one I'm looking at that has absolutely no frost on it whatsoever. Wow. But it may be that there's some sun on it. There is no doubt about it. I do get amused by very small things. Ooh, there's a new development there. I just saw a new that development that Laurie and I were talking about the other day. Yeah. Guess what? Their roofs weren't looking quite as frosty as I would have liked for brand new buildings. So, here we go. It is Thursday. I do like Thursdays. Get to have a bit of a sleep-in Friday. I like that even better. And I thought that we're going to do a broadcast tomorrow at lunchtime. That will be Friday. And I was looking at some figures yesterday. And I did notice that I have the ability to see where people are coming from when they go to my Facebook page or whatever. And what I noticed was we're actually picking up some people from Vaughn TV. And that's great to hear. And so I'd like to welcome those people who are viewers now, thanks to Vaughn TV, and welcome on board. And it's good to have you on board. So it's good that Vaughn is actually bringing us new people, and hopefully will help us help more people. I cannot remember seeing that Tiny Chat orders new people, but I guess it did once in a while. Definitely we had a lot of people join from Blog TV days. That's what I loved about Blog TV. So that's good. It is a pretty day up here. I'm above the fog level now, and it is pretty as a picture. And in the far distance I can see the coastal mountains with snow on top, and it's a sunshiny day right here. It's beautiful. It's the sort of day that we don't want too many people to know about, because everybody thinks that it just rains in British Columbia. And particularly here where I live, particularly here. So it's the sort of day that we definitely don't want to advertise too much. Otherwise we get too many people coming to live here. And we've already got way too many. It's I don't know if any of you feel like that about your hometown, you know. Just can you keep the visitors out now? We've got enough. Mind you, I keep arriving, it keeps pushing the house prices up. I remember one of the things that Benji warned me about was that be aware that once you guys have had the Olympics, that was Vancouver, when we had the Olympics, he said, just want to warn you that the house prices will jump up before the Olympics and then they will plummet after the Olympics. And I really found that interesting because they did go up before the Olympics and they're still going up. It's scary. I just don't know how anybody affords a house here today. You know, and I actually should give you some idea of prices. Now, I gave you some idea of some stuff that I saw being built, and it was in the 700,000 mark. But those were probably 3,000 square feet houses by the look of them. But side by side, they didn't have lots, sort of like quarter of an acre or anything next to them. Those were literally side by side. And then I think I explained to you that near where I live, you cannot buy a manufactured home or a mobile home on a piece of ground. You know how big a piece of ground a manufactured home lives on? We have some areas there that have manufactured homes and you can buy the land. You cannot buy that here today, down where I live, for less than $250,000. It's scary. We're not talking an acre of ground here. We're talking a pocket handkerchief on which you can fit a mobile home. $250,000 if you own the land on which you sit. So the prices here are astronomical. What is it? I'm really not too sure what it costs to get an apartment these days. I don't think you rent an apartment for much under $750 a month to $1,000. And that's in the burbs. I'm not talking about downtown Vancouver. I'm talking out in the burbs. That's what you're paying for a basement. So it's a very, very expensive place to live. And the reason is because it's so pretty. So many things to do. All within a couple of hours. It really, I mean, you've got to look at it and go, how many places in the world are you sort of an hour away from skiing from downtown, or that you can sail your boat straight off the harbor? You know, there's so many beautiful things that just are within your reach all the time. Now, I remember my brother coming to visit, couldn't understand why anybody would live here because it rains so much. So yes, there are some months where it rains quite a bit, and for that reason we do have covered tennis courts and stuff like that for those people who are sportsy-fied. But overall, it's a beautiful, beautiful place to live. And more than that, I really like the people. In my experience, that the people are pretty darn good here. And there's got to be a reason I keep saying that they keep voting us first or second place in the world to live, so that there's got to be a good reason for that. It's not just that I'm biased. They keep doing these surveys and saying we're you know, with all the things that we have, we're a pretty nice place to go. And for all of you sitting in the east, I am so sorry about your weather. I believe even in Saskatchewan you're having pretty bad weather as well, by the way. Somebody was telling me that you're not having too much fun over there, so my heart goes out to you. Guess what? My proper parking space is available today. Wow. That's quite something. Alright, so I am 15 minutes late, but I'm here, and that's the main thing. So I will speak to you guys later. Bye for now.